a great model slideshow, a peek at my oil painting, and a warning about some solutions you might be using with some of your models. Coming up next here on Hot Off the Bench. Well, hey guys, and welcome to episode 2 of Hot Off the Bench. First of all, I'd like to kick off here by thanking you for all of the great comments and positive feedback I received in episode 1. I do think this is going to be a fun way to showcase work from you guys here on the channel. Now, in episode 1, I provided a description of how I thought I would structure these episodes, and I mentioned that I intended on showcasing work from 5 or 6 modelers per episode. This last month I received emails from 12 modelers, and so I'm not sure how this is going to go from month to month. I have a feeling it's just going to vary from month to month. I chose 5 or 6 because I thought that was just a reasonable expectation of how many modelers I might hear from each month, but as I said, this month I have 12 here to go through, so I am ready to show you them. Let's go ahead and get started. And to kick us off is a nicely done model of the USS Franklin, built by modeler Beth Hillary. This ship, of course, was seen in the movie Star Trek Beyond, and the kit is produced by Mobius. Beth did a wonderful job with the kit, which not only included interior lighting and a beautifully painted exterior, but she also installed motors to achieve the effects seen here with the nacelles. The motors are available on Amazon, and I am posting the link below. Really great job, Beth. Here we have a few models from builder James A. Lewis, including this 1/1000 scale Enterprise, a Saturn V rocket, and an MPC 187 scale Eagle, complete with a lit landing pad display. Next up are some models from builder William Chun, which includes the DeLorean from Back to the Future, Joker and Batman, the Discovery Enterprise, and C-3PO, along with a few others in his collection in the background there. Great job on these. And modeler David Reed provided these pictures of a couple of Vipers. First is of a refurbished monogram model, which he acquired disassembled and broken. He used a 3D printed cockpit to replace the missing piece and painted it with a blue paint scheme. The idea was inspired by the blue paint scheme seen with the X-Wings in Rogue One. And here's a Mark I Viper he completed, sporting an open cockpit and a deck for display. He placed these in front of a background which he printed, and the forced perspective really makes for a convincing display. Real nice work, David. And from Nigel McLaughlin, we have another Battlestar Galactica kit here, Colonial 1 from the Reimagined series. This is a beautiful ship, and Nigel includes this display base with spotlights, and this was inspired by the one I did on the channel here. As you can see, he also took the time to light up the interior and the engines. That's really awesome, Nigel. Thank you. Next up we have Eric, who sent in pictures of his completed War of the Worlds war machine, which he lit up nicely. Fantastic job on this classic ship, Eric. Modeler Brian Gowden here is next with his version of the AT-ST walker seen in The Mandalorian. I really love this episode, and Brian did such a fantastic job with replicating the look of the walker, from the weathering to the red interior lighting. Figure painter and modeler Joe Hudson shared some pictures of his latest project. This is a 3D printed figure of Zira from Planet of the Apes. Expertly done as always, Joe does a phenomenal job with blending and color application. Just amazing. Check out the link below, which will take you to a site called puttyandpaint.com, and don't forget to give Joe a thumbs up for his post there. This figure will also be featured in an upcoming issue of Fine Scale Modeler, a publication he frequently contributes to. Alright, now here's a real treat for you guys. We have some unique pieces from modeler Scott Palick, who is a professional artist, and he used Adobe Illustrator to construct these beautiful recreations of sets from the Trek universe, and these span from the TV series to the original series films. One of his favorite models was the AMT Trek Bridge, but as he is someone who is a stickler for attention to detail, was always bothered by the inaccuracies of what was available. So many years later, he used Illustrator to design these pieces. Now these are printed on photo paper, then glued onto foam board, and are about 1/40th in scale. Just incredible detail, absolutely amazing, Scott. Thanks for sharing these, Scott, and we will be seeing more work from Scott in future episodes of Hot Off the Bench. Okay, and now on to some dioramas, and first up is a nice Trek Original Series diorama by modeler Ray Hernandez. Here he used the old AMT shuttle kit along with figures from Shapeways to create a scene from the episode Galileo 7. Here we see Mr. Boma and Yeoman Mears paying final respects to Mr. Gaetano prior to takeoff. And I really love how he captures the lighting along with the textures and look of the false rock walls seen on the set. Great job, Ray! This diorama of the Ares 1B lander from 2001 is by modeler Tony Tiona, and he told me that 2001 was the first sci-fi movie he ever saw back in 1968. The scene is of the lander on exhibit with onlookers walking around and exploring the interior of the ship. It is beautifully done and detailed. The Ares 1B is the 1/144 scale model from Stargazer Models, and the space dock display pad is produced by Green Strawberry. The gangway and stairs are 3D printed and are from shapeways.com. And here we have a scratch-built diorama from modeler Bob Bruce, who used the Bandai kits of Vader and this Stormtrooper to create this fantastic action scene. As you can see, it includes a lit lightsaber and glowing damaged areas along the walls there. Absolutely love it, Bruce. And now to end our slideshow here, we have this incredible diorama by modeler Lee Chambers. This diorama depicts the opening scene from the Return of the Jedi using a 1/144 scale Imperial shuttle resin kit from Anagrand, along with a 3D printed Star Destroyer, TIE Bomber, and Stormtroopers from shapeways.com. The hangar itself was built using an old freezer container box, and Lee tried to follow in ILM's footsteps by kit bashing it with 1/25th scale engine parts, 1/32 scale helicopter and tank tracks, and he also threw in zip ties, disposable razor blades, and spare photo etch parts for added measure. He is planning on creating a hangar scene using a 1/144 scale Falcon later this year, and I definitely look forward to seeing that. Really amazing work, Lee. Thank you very much for sharing this beautiful piece. All right, well, wasn't that a great slideshow? It's just a wonderful amount of work that's out there. And again, if you want to have your model featured here in a segment of Hot Off the Bench, email me at interstellarmodeler@gmail.com. I have a feeling, though, I think I'm going to provide a different email next time because as I received these emails, they were kind of getting mixed in with other stuff coming in. So I think I'll provide an email exclusively for Hot Off the Bench. So look for that in the next episode. Well, if you bear with me, what I'd like to do is to spend a minute just to share one other thing with you guys that I've been up to over the last couple months. Now, as busy as life has kept me, I, like many of you, have been lucky enough to be able to take time away and stay in touch with my artistic side. And of course, model building and figure painting is one way to do that. But I've also spent time with photography and drawing, and there's one thing I had yet to try, and that's painting. So, a couple of months ago, my wife gave me a Bob Ross kit just to see what I could do with it, because she knew for a while I've been interested in trying this out. And just like he says in his videos, and I know many of you are familiar with him, he claims that it's easy to do, and that's exactly the way I found it to be. It's a very straightforward method, and I can see why so many people are interested in trying it out, because you really don't need to know much about drawing or adding detail to a canvas before applying paint. It's really all about his technique of applying paint in such a way that you can create all these beautiful things. And certainly many people have been successful with it, and as I continue to paint with it and have fun with it, I came to find it, and this is just my humble opinion because I'm just getting started with this, that it was a little limited in the amount of detail that you could apply, or at least the kind of detail that I wanted to apply to a painting. So I've since kind of branched off of that a bit, but I thought it would be fun if you, again, just bear with me here just to show you some of the things I've been able to do with it so far. So here's one of the first paintings I did using the Bob Ross method of wet on wet painting. A white slow drying base is first applied, then various colors are brushed on to blend the sky, followed by dabbing and painting in the trees and the background. The cabin was actually created using a spatula. Next is painting inspired by a famous piece done by artist Ralph McQuarrie, and many of you will recognize this early concept art from the original Battlestar Galactica. I wasn't confident enough to paint in the fighter, but I tried duplicating the look of the alien landscape and the wispy clouds up in the sky with the two moons. I will eventually give this another shot with the Viper in place. And here are a couple others, just trying techniques I learned from other tutorials on YouTube. And finally, my most recent painting I did of a boogie border. This is based on a photo I took while on Kauai a couple of years ago. So ultimately what I'd love to do is to get into sci-fi themed paintings of some sort, whether that's painting planets or starships or alien landscapes. I think it'd be fun to do that sort of stuff too. So I'll keep you guys apprised. So one tool I thought I would share with you is called a flexifile. This is a simple device that strings a ribbon of sandpaper along the top. The file, when pressed up against a surface, has the ability to conform to it because it has a little give, just by the way this is designed. This is particularly useful with curved surfaces. Prior to using this, I would rely on straight sanding sticks like this and loose sandpaper, and the sticks in particular can end up altering the contour, resulting in an unwanted flattening. Sometimes this would happen regardless of how hard I tried to avoid it. Now the ribbons are available in different grades of sandpaper, and I imagine you probably could even make your own by measuring the proper length and folding the ends here and adding either some adhesive or even stapling the ends on each side. You can purchase a file like this at a company called Micromark, and they sell it such that you end up with 3 frames and 16 assorted color-coded ribbons. The ribbons are available in different grits from 150, 280, 320, and 600. Okay guys, well now it's time to wrap up our video with a model tip, and initially I was going to be talking all about the great attributes of these solutions here, which you've seen me use. These are the MIG ammo solutions. However, this is going to turn into a warning. Let me kind of give you some backstory here. So as I was putting this video together, a subscriber by the name of Gerardo left a comment recently on a video of my snow speeder that I built a couple years ago, and he had noticed during the final reveal that there was a crack in the model. I went back to look at the video, and sure enough, upon close inspection, you see that there is a crack, and this is what it looks like. And he asked if I had by chance used any enamel solutions on the model to use as a wash or detailing solution, and sure enough, I did. I did use some of the MIG ammo streaking solutions there, and he further went to say that he had some bad experiences with enamel solutions and Bandai models, and to avoid using them is what he recommends to people. At least particularly on Bandai kits anyway. So what this did was to prompt me to do some research about this, and I had known for some time that the Tamiya panel accent line color was a problem. In fact, when I was building my BB-8 model kit, I remember applying that and then doing some sort of I was browsing or something online, and I came across a post of someone using that on their model kit because it was recommended by another YouTuber, and they had mentioned that it completely cracked their model, and I just panicked, ran out to the garage. It was too late, the stuff had already set, but luckily for me it didn't cause any problems. So I really hadn't given it much thought. I thought this might have been just specific to this solution, and so I really didn't think much about it other than just not to use that solution on Bandai model kits. However, this comment did prompt me to do some more research here for you guys, and sure enough, when you do research enamel solutions with Bandai models, there are a few forums of people who build the Gunpla Bandai kits. They've had very similar issues too. So this is what I have found out. If you apply a clear coat to your model kit, you will protect it from potential problems. And so you won't have any major cracking, at least that's the consensus anyway. However, the one thing to be mindful of here is that models tend to have these little nooks and crannies and little corners, and oftentimes that's where you want these solutions to accumulate, right, to get that dirty, grimy look. And what happens is that if you apply a clear coat, in all likelihood you're not going to get complete coverage in those areas, or at least if you don't apply it to those areas, you're going to have bare plastic being exposed to the solution, and the thinners in these solutions are going to break down the plastic and cause it to crack. So that's probably what happened with the snow speeder, is that it accumulated in that area and cracked the plastic. These are pictures, by the way, from modeler David Eves, who, after I posted this on Facebook, was kind enough to send me these pictures here. And as you can see, he did experience cracking on this Bandai Resistance X-Wing fighter. So the obvious answer here is to avoid using these when it comes to applying these to the Bandai Star Wars models. You know, I can't imagine this causes problems with every model kit, because these solutions wouldn't be on the market if it cracked plastic models all the time. If military modelers use these on tanks and models where the plastic is fairly thick and heavy, because just the way those models are designed, you probably will not have any issues. Again, in general though, people are just recommending overall that you coat your plastic first, regardless, and that makes a lot of sense. The other solution is obviously don't use these on your Bandai Star Wars models, perhaps because these particular models are smaller and the pieces tend to be a little bit thinner. maybe they're just more susceptible. They do have a lot of little rings and things that you know, if you recall with my Boba Fett kit, it now just makes sense here. I had to glue the stabilizers into the flying configuration because a ring had cracked at the edge where the stabilizer rotates within, and that's probably what happened there. Is I got some of that solution on that bare plastic, and it ended up weakening it. So again, you could look into alternatives. Just don't use these solutions on Bandai models, at least the Star Wars models anyway. I did a little bit of research into this as well, and I tried this here. This is a little experiment using watercolor. Someone had posted on a forum to use watercolor to detail their kits with, and so I happen to have these koi watercolors on hand, and what I did here was to brush on a thick application of the watercolor, allowed it to dry, and then just use water to see if I could get it to create a similar effect as the MIG ammo solutions. Because if you recall, the reason I like these solutions is you can move the pigment around and create all kinds of streaking effects and that sort of thing. And actually this seems to work. I think with some practice I could really make this look similar to the effects I'm getting with these MIG ammo solutions. Alright, so I hope you got something out of that modeling tip there, and as we wrap it up here, just a few more comments. You know, it's not my intention to leave you with a negative impression of MIG ammo solutions or badmouth them in any way. I think they're great solutions and do a really wonderful job of providing some nice detailing to your model kits. It's just unfortunate that we've had these issues with the Bandai kits. You know, the thinners appear to be the problem here, and it makes sense. You know, I can't imagine oil paint in and of itself is an issue because oil paint's not going to just eat away at plastic on its own. But the thinners, if they're in certain concentrations and are exposed to bare plastics are exposed to them, it makes sense that you're going to have some issues there. So if you plan on using these solutions, just make sure that you are clear coating your pieces. That seems to be the general consensus to protect your model parts. As for me, I plan on continuing to use them when I'm confident that I'm not going to damage the model kit, and I certainly will do my best to protect any of those nooks and crannies that we talked about there where the solutions could get in to cause some damage. The other thing that you can consider, of course, are just alternatives. I am going to investigate and do a little bit more work with that watercolor method. It seems like that, with some practice, can duplicate somewhat similar anyway the effects that I've been getting there with the MIG ammo solution, so I may turn to that as an alternative when working with Bandai kits in particular, or our kits with thinner, smaller parts. The reason for leaving this model tip, by the way, is simply because I know I've used these solutions here on my channel, and I certainly would hate for any of you to have a damaged model kit just by doing something as simple as a wash. So I know that I've used these solutions, as I said, several times, and many of you follow suit with what I do. Model kits are very expensive, and some of them are getting harder to find. These particular ones become harder to find, so I'd hate for any of that to happen to you guys. So if you have any experience with this issue, by the way, feel free to leave a comment down below. This is a learning experience for all of us, and we certainly can learn from your experience as well. So thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed the slideshow here. It was quite a pleasure to put that together. Always great to see the wonderful work that's out there, and I look forward to posting more of those in future segments of Hot Off the Bench. Thanks again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.